All aboard! It is time to hop aboard my spaceship, because you are now tuned into what is the Matrix TV. I am your host, Master of the Universe, Jason Elm Street Williams, and today we're going to get into the conquistadors of San Diego and California, the Moors of Spain, and were the Moors of Spain the conquerors of California. So we have a guest, an expert on Moorish history, Charles Formosa.
Thank you for having me back. Wonderful to be here. Wonderful to hear all of your new research and to share my own. Thank you.
Always, brother. So,
Good to have you.
Lana,
Jason,
how are you doing today, Goddess? You were talking about the city of Lake Elsinore earlier, and you were saying that there was a concern about some Muslim culture, and it was interesting when we study the city of Lake Elsinore. It's located in Southern California in Riverside County. Charles, can you tell us anything about Cortez and Hernandez Cortez taking over the Aztec Empire and its correlation possibly to Spain being controlled by Moors and those Moors coming into the Aztec Empire, and being that the Aztec Empire were dark-skinned people, Moors as well, could that have been why Juan Garrido and Hernandez Cortez were so easily influential when communicating? And last, Estevinco, he was also a Moor who came to America and was able to communicate with the natives. Can you give us some knowledge on the Moors and them coming to America?
Yes, yeah. I find this to be very interesting. I mean, we are told in history books that the Aztec Empire fell because this Spanish conquistador arrived on the coast. Hernan Cortez de Monroy a Pizarro Altamirano, the first Marquis of the Valley of Oaxaca. Now, this is what we're told. This is what we've always. This is what we're taught at school. This whole narrative that there are large portions of what is now mainland Mexico, which was under the rule of the King of Castile in the 16th century, was actually a lot more complicated than people are trying to teach us at school or in the history books. In fact, the war banners of the specifically the Spanish conquistadors were almost identical to those of the native Aztec Empire. So, I mean, they both had a central cross, which is the of the nation, right? This flag, okay. Now this flag is put in the center, and then 4 kings are placed in each white space. If they put the original kings onto this flag of England or Norway or Sweden, like all of these countries have the same lines, the same Roman two streets, the central streets. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, if you were to look at the original flag like 300-400 years ago, you would have 4 Moorish kings in each one of those white spaces. There is very important symbolism behind that. There's a reason for that, that there were 4 empires that shared the entire realm, the entire earth, right?
Mm.
And that's the problem with our history, the fact that very old paintings still exist because they're so valuable. You can't remove those. You can't burn them. They're worth millions. Some of them are priceless. Nobody
Wow.
ever wants to burn those paintings. They're famous paintings that are the only record of the history of the human race. And on those paintings, some of them are available. You can see them. They are not shown in the main museums. They're usually hidden somewhere. in smaller
Private
cities,
museums.
private museums, and I've seen some of those. They are all over the internet. It's exactly the same flag. The Aztecs had the same symbolism as the Moors that came from Europe, because it's the complete other way around. It's not Europe conquering the Americas. It was the Americas conquering Europe, civilizing Europe from Africa. The Grand Canyon is just an access to. It's just a road. It's just a thoroughfare, Silk Road
Mm.
trading route
Wow.
to Africa. To
There we
Africa.
go.
The Grand Canyon is just the entrance to Africa. That's all
Wow.
it is.
Through the
And all of
land.
those cities have been removed and burned and melted in various sort of resets. And we don't understand that technology because we are not at that level yet. We are just discovering things. I like to think of myself as one of those like pathfinders, but we are nowhere near where those empires were. We can't begin to scratch the surface of,
And here we are, what Charles was saying, connecting the Grand Canyon to California. Arizona. Area of Ra, a Ra zone. So right there, we find the word Ra zone. And when we find the Colorado River, and the original city of Colorado was in Arizona, borderline California. What is the county that borderlines Arizona and California? Because Arizona is California. It's just another connection. So now that we know, there you go. Blythe, Riverside County is connected basically to Arizona. So they had to separate. Is that my phone?
The static, for sure.
Who is that? The static. Is that me?
Yeah, I can't hear anything. I mean, I can't hear any static.
I can hear
you.
Okay. So basically, when we look, I'm going to show you guys right here. This fellow, his name is Thomas Henry Williams. They said his name was Thomas Henry Blythe because I started doing research with the Moors. And then I researched Grand Canyon. Then I researched Arizona, Lake Elsinore, Riverside, Mecca, California, Palm Springs. All this led basically to us as Moors and Moors and an Egyptian civilization already being here in the Americas, in particularly in Southern California, in Riverside County. So Blythe is and this brother's last name is Williams, which I'm claiming is a family member. So when you look at this brother, look at his hair, y'all. It's an afro. He's a Moor. So here we go. So right here in Blythe, California, the only geoglyphs in the United States are found in Riverside County. And who do I say the Martians are? Who do I say are the little green men and the tall green men who came down from the heavens to Earth? Us, Martians, Mers, from Sirius, Orion's belt. We are the extraterrestrial aliens. And when we study the ancient Moorish science, when we study Yahweh or Hebrew or ancient Khemet, it all leads to us having to master ourselves, and that our avatars, our body is a spacesuit. And when we rise and raise our vibration enough, we're able to communicate with extraterrestrial beings or connect with the mother chip, our mother source, to receive infinite information to basically build whatever you want. And so basically right here, y'all, I wanted to take y'all to what Charles was saying. Here, if you guys look, if you look, here's the Colorado River. To the left, it's almost like the Nile River. Someone's microphone's messing up. But basically, when you look close, the Colorado River looks like the Nile River. And it goes through California and Arizona. And then in the opening cities, it was founded by a German, mining engineer, and it was called Mineral City. So basically, on the border of Arizona, we find a mineral city. And so when we go further into Riverside, there's a city called Mecca. There's a city called Mecca. And so basically, once again, relating that to us as Murs being in Riverside County, because the Colorado River ran through Southern California, which hits the Pacific Ocean. So the Santa Ana River, the Colorado River, if these rivers connected to the Pacific Ocean, that meant that we were able to sail in to the Grand Canyon. Also, the Grand Canyon was able to connect to all these cities. And so that's why we find blown up mountains in Southern California that look like Mecca. And we also see covered up pyramids. So Charles was talking about Balboa Park earlier. Did you want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, I find that pretty interesting because I think we have like 5 or 6 very well documented world fairs and expositions around the United States, and obviously that architecture has been hidden under this narrative that it was temporary, and that these buildings were built out of wood and plaster and staff. And but then when you see construction photos, they obviously have scaffolding on them, which doesn't make any sense to have scaffolding on a temporary wooden structure. The scaffolding would be the structure. There wouldn't be scaffolding outside of that. And when I came to that realization and started posting about that, those images have disappeared. Like those construction images of scaffolding building the world fairs have pretty much all gone from the internet. People aren't really reposting them at all. And I think this goes to show how powerful the human mind can be when we're trying to decipher these puzzles. Now, when it comes to the Panama California exposition, I've never even heard of it. I've heard of a Panama or a Pan Am exposition. Obviously, everyone's heard of like St. Louis, Missouri, and the Chicago world fairs, and they had one in Paris. They had them in London. There's one in I think Rio de Janeiro had one. But it's interesting that the countries that have them are countries that are definitely linked with this Moorish nobility theory. That there is, or there are Moorish noble families that are still pretty much in charge, but they have their own sort of puppets, sort of like mask royalty that is not really in control. Sort of like having a president in control, but actually some large conglomerate behind the scenes is actually in charge. Yeah.
To me, it's almost to the point like my Williams surname. That links me to the noble family of the Moors as well. And the pharaohs of ancient Khemet. We just see that the Williams family owned parts of Riverside County where the alien geoglyphs are found. And when I look at the pictures, a lot of the women have curly hair. And for me, the pictures show a so-called pale-skinned white man behind them. Possibly that so-called white man is not the one in power, but it's the woman who's actually mixed. She's actually mixed, like a Queen Victoria, and that's her slave. That's her slave from Europe, and she's being paraded around like she's white, so she can still run the Moorish Empire in America and teach her white slave the Moorish science, because her Moorish brothers are experiencing the end of the Inquisition, meaning that a Moor who looked such as myself would get murdered for talking this 20, 40, 60, 100, 200 years ago, right? You couldn't say this. It had to be in secret. And so therefore certain Moors had to teach their slave some of our secrets because we were being put to sleep. For the day this came up, for the day these conversations came up, there were some so-called pale-skinned Europeans who might be called Shriners today, or certain brotherhoods who kept the Moorish science and kept these paintings because they knew that there would be other Europeans who would destroy the evidence of the Moorish nobility, not only in Europe, but in America. So right here, y'all, this is another exposition or world fair that they didn't tell us about. 1915, you're telling me that we have buildings like this in San Diego? And so it takes me to this, y'all. Someone's microphone's glitching.
Yeah, not sure.
Okay, so right here, Charles, this is a city called Indio in Riverside County. It's like near Palm Springs where all the rich, wealthy celebrities go. And they say that the water is healing. But look at the structures right here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that seems like some kind of large etheric tower. Yeah, I mean, it's got a dome on it, so it's that could have been like some kind of early version of like a Muslim sort of Islamic architecture. But those domes are very old. That's a very old sort of atrium. Sometimes it's made of glass. Sometimes it's made of. I mean, obviously, 400-500 years ago, those would have been made of clay, terracotta clay, maybe. But those domes are a religious symbolism. That's Islamic architecture. That's not.
So right there, you're confirming Islamic architecture in California. And clearly, you guys, if they were the people who built these structures, you would see more of them, right? More of them. And so once again, we see the Taj Mahal type of hotel in Riverside County. And one of the oldest date palm harvests, and they say it's a city in the Colorado desert. So I didn't even know that the Colorado desert is in Riverside County. And Colorado is associated with the River of Ra. Colorado River is the River of Ra, y'all. And so it would make sense for them to change the real Colorado from California and Arizona to Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
Because they have to change the maps. So if we know that the Moors landed in San Diego and that Lake Elsinore is connected to Riverside County, which is almost San Diego County, is borderline, I want everybody to study the city of Lake Elsinore. And look at this, 1800 bathhouse. Do you see those charging stations on top of the building, Charles? What do you call those?
So you've got spires. That looks like electromagnetic etheric harnessing, sort of harvesting and harnessing. So that's a cathode and an anode. You always need two. You need the negative and the positive. This is straight out of a like classic etheric Tartarian architecture. You have the high arches. You probably have a copper ball at the bottom of a spire, getting as high as you can, as high as you possibly can, because the higher you go, the more static electricity, which is also called etheric energy, that you're trying to collect. But the important thing is the balls themselves would have copper in the center, a copper coil. Then they would have mercury that is constantly being like spun around by the etheric energy, which is what we're breathing. We're not just breathing oxygen. We're actually breathing etheric energy, electric energy, right? So So that's being pushed down into the actual sphere. You may be able to, if you zoom into those spires, you can see a sphere underneath the copper coil or the copper mast in the center. So that would then spin, and as that spins, you can also mix that with other things like radium. You can have a salt bath with iron and mercury. You can use magnesium. You can use magnesium depending on what you want to use. There's a lot of options. It's not just copper and radium and mercury.
So,
But yes, that is the Moorish technology that they shared with the whole world.
and so basically, you're saying that a normal person could not just build this building. It would take someone with knowledge of Moorish science to build this.
To build it, you would have to be part of the Moorish noble families. Yeah.
There you go.
Building it is one thing. Giving it to your vassal empire, or giving it to your allies, which is what obviously is usually what happens I mean, that's what happened in Europe, but this is not Europe. This is at the United States, so it's probably the real deal. But if they haven't put in a dummy spire, if it's the real thing, then you could take that apart and you could reverse engineer it, which is obviously what people have done in the past. Yeah.
And so right here, this is Lake Elsinore, y'all. How would a people who had dirt roads, horses, and buggies build something like that in the 1800s? Look at this mansion right here, a haunted bathhouse of Lake Elsinore, because the Moors had bathhouses. We dealt with cleanliness. So once again, we'll get into it more of the next episode. But I just wanted to show you guys how there were horse and buggies when the pale skinned European said he founded these cities. But when we look into the names and the etymology, we find Moorish names and we find Moorish buildings, like this one to the right. Another, if we look up close, we see what Charles was saying with those edifices on top. And so there was a picture right here that showed the mud flood to the left. So picture it, guys. Picture Riverside. Picture that we're in a valley. You guys know we're in a valley, and we have cities. And when these cities got flooded, which we call the California flood of the late 1800s, Riverside County was flooded. San Francisco was flooded. San Bernardino was flooded. So basically, a lot of these advanced cities are still under mud, or they were abandoned and dug out. Then when the Europeans came, they had smallpox. So you're dealing with a major devastation and people coming with diseases, which wiped out the Moors, the Black Indians, who were the original people of these American cities. And they were replaced with Mongolian Asians, who today we call Native Americans. So the proof, people want to say, well, where's the proof, Jason? Right here. San Diego's Queen Khalifia's magical circle. Once again, so in Balboa Park, we find domes of Moorish architecture, but not just in San Diego, Disneyland. I want everybody watching to type in California Disney and type in Golden Dreams. And they had a ride called Golden Dreams starring Whoopi Goldberg. And the ride basically was about Queen Califia and how a Moorish empress ruled California, and that her spirit still rules California, and that's what California was named after. So right here you see a what? A dome right in the middle of California adventure. So even in Disneyland, they're showing you that the Moors were not only present, but there was an empire that was ruled by a Moorish queen or empress, who today they call queen because queen is a disrespectful term. She was an empress. So they closed this ride down and they replaced it with the Little Mermaid, but not the Moorish mermaid, the pale skinned European. Even though the Little Mermaid is set where? In the Bahamas. It's set in on the islands, you know. So basically look up Golden Dreams, and in Disneyland, they tell you that the Moors used to run California. So before I hand it to Charles, I want everyone to look at Mexico before the invasion, a painting of Tenochtitlan, and then below San Bernardino, California, which is the Inland Empire. And then to the right, another exposition of the 1800s. So right here in America, you see advanced Moorish buildings. So Charles, what
Yep.
do you see when you look at these world fairs, and then you look in Mexico and you see these advanced pyramids and temples? Do you see a worldwide education system? What do you see when I show these pictures? Like right here, this is the Patton State Hospital in San Bernardino, California, established 1890. Do you feel that pale skinned Europeans had the knowledge and technology to build that, or was this already here prior to their arrival?
Yeah, I mean, I see it everywhere, and I think that is what needs to inspire people to, or motivate people to think. We have to think a little bit more about it. We can't just accept that there are these large, perfectly built pyramids that incorporate, 2, 3, 4, 5 ton, 6 ton blocks that we have no way of ever understanding. Like, don't we shouldn't try to understand how they made them. We should try to study the reason why they were made, because I think we have this problem as a species, that we have this layman way of looking at the world, where we have to find out how before we find out why. Did you see what I mean? So we went, what's this? Oh, how can I do that? Well, no, that's not the way to move forward in the research. You have to understand why. Why do all these cities have the same obelisks, the same pyramids, the same alcoves, the same large domed buildings? Why are they all worshipping this etheric energy? And why is it so important? And why do you want people to move into cities instead of living in their own small towns or villages, which is obviously how we used to do things, right? So when you see that in Mesopotamia, in Mexico, you have exactly the same colonnade with the central energy harnessing, energy guiding central conductors. You have the pillars. You have the pillars in Rome and Brazil. You have the circular pillars everywhere on Earth. Every city on Earth has the same symbolism. And I think once you accept that every city was built by the same information, the same geometry, the same religion, then you have to find out what that religion is, and then you have to find out why it's such a dangerous thing for people to know. Well, if you find out that every single city was part of the same empire, then you have to find out who those people were, what that empire was, why they would build pyramids on top of large structures. What were they trying to collect? Did it have a function, and was there symbolism involved? And even if you do this for years, even if you spend years researching this, you may still not really fully comprehend it, because these are multiple nations, multiple lifetimes, genius architects, genius scribes, and ancient philosophy that seems to every new empire seems to burn the memory of the past empire. So you have all these fires. As soon as they get powerful enough, they start to destroy each other. And I think that's the problem with human nature. That as soon as you get this kind of great weaponry, you start destroying other empires, and they start destroying you, and it kind of, and we end up with this reset where cities are melted, and all we really have is our ancestral memory of these places. So for anyone to hide that from you, it is literally the worst thing you can do, because it ensures that you do not evolve past that destructive stage. The Moors were not at that stage anymore. They ascended past that stage. They were not trying to hate on each other. They weren't trying to conquer the world. They were trying to ascend. And
Get
and
off the planet.
and I think that, yeah, and I think once you realize that this planet has everything here is very sort of there's a lot of negativity on Earth. There's a lot of negative energy, volcanic food, volcanic rocks. Everything's kind of constantly being kind of destroyed and recreated, and we're kind of almost like feeding off ourselves, like the Ouroboros snake kind of thing. And I think if we stop doing that and we ascend and we look at the symbolism and we study the architecture, I think that's when you find your solution, your kind of way out. Because everything important has some kind of evil connotation. Like, it's not a beautiful tower mountain, it's the devil's tower. It's not a wonderful place to visit. No, a forest of suicide or something, or it's the devil's season or Satan's season. Well, maybe there is nothing evil going to stop you if you're going along the right path, because that path has people have already gone down that path and they ascended. Yeah, they could move through different dimensions. They could see more than ultraviolet to infrared. They could build structures that we can only look at and marvel at, because horses and buggies did not build Cologne Cathedral. Horses and buggies did not build the Arc de Triomphe. No, none of those structures were built by people who had horses and buggies. And when you look at old photos, you can tell we had a memory wipe, and somebody who was here probably was responsible for that. Somebody who wanted to keep us under control, because what we have in our head is very dangerous. Like, we have the same abilities that these people did who built this realm, and we just have to access it because it's all in there. It's all waiting to be used. And I think if you go through that journey, the treasures at the end are the greatest treasures on Earth. And it's not gold and money. It's not something superficial. It's being able to whatever you can imagine. Like whatever you can imagine now. Those are the things. Those kind of things that we subscribe to superheroes, like telepathy, transcendence, communication with animals, everlasting life, healing. All of those things in the Bible that we put on a pedestal, all the things Jesus could do, walking on water, right? Feeding 1,000 people with 3 fish. Like, imagine you can replicate, physical matter. Like, if you don't imagine that, how can you ever get there? If it's always a superhero or a comic book or a movie, that can't be reality. You see, and I think that's what I get from these buildings. Like, the main Moorish families are House of Guelph, House of Liechtenstein, House of Orange, House of Habsburg, and House of Hanover. Those are the main Moorish nobility families.
Let's
and
go to that real quick.
Yeah, and those are the ones in charge. Yeah.
And so we're saying history is a lie. Can you explain this picture right here with the Moorish? We say Nazis because of Kanye West now saying "Hell Hitler," and there's knowledge going around of people saying that the original Hitler was a Moor. Can you go into that? And then also my question is, we know that the swastika is an ancient symbol. We can date it back to ancient India, Khemet. all over the world, Native American culture, Abraham, basically the stars, the Polaris star. But
Yeah.
when it comes to Germany in particular, what was, knowing that we know that the nobility of the land called now Germany was ran by dark-skinned people who we today call Moors. We were speaking earlier of the name of Germany, and you were talking about that there were other cities that are now longer even on the map. And so during this World War, could this have possibly been part to erase Moorish Tartarian history that we were saying? Because the United States did not get into the war until who you were stating came in?
Yeah, no, it was when the German Empire and the Austrian and Italians, when they decided to turn on Russia, because Russia was actually on the same side as Germany at the beginning of the war, which is something that we aren't told much about. So yeah, I mean, these were just noble black nobility, noble royal black nobility that decided to attack or turn on Russia, and they didn't want a repeat of the Bolshevik revolution. So that's when you have when the Moors turn on each other, that's when you get the World War. So House of Gulev or Guelev and House of Orange would have basically become unified, and then you have the original Russian Empire, which is obviously part of also Tartaria, that old Grand Tartary in the 1300s. Yeah, but that is a big topic, and I'd like to maybe discuss that on Saturday when I've got my ducks in a row, as it were, and because there is a lot to talk about. Because we are now, I think we are now starting to find out that all of those movies, Nazi Germany, Hitler, 1930s, I think all of that was Hollywood. None
Propaganda.
of none of those are real people. That's all. They're all actors, in my opinion, based on my research. Yeah.
And that's when it comes to what did the
Yeah.
Holocaust ever happen?
Well, yeah, yes, but yeah, so I would like to go into that on Saturday. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Be on time now.
Okay.
You guys have to remember, those watching, Charles is in East Asia. So
Yeah, Republic of China. Yeah, so
Republic of China.
doing
Okay.
some research here that we can talk about another time. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we'll
Thank you for
end it with,
understanding. Yeah.
okay. So we'll end it with Charles on that. Did you want to end it? Or do you have to go, or you just didn't want to go further on that topic right now?
No, I have to. I have to go. Yeah.
Okay.
I found out that something unexpected happened, and I need to be somewhere else. Because we still need money, right? We still need to earn money. So, yeah. Sorry about that.
Right?
I hear you, brother. It's
That's
okay.
I could just tell you the truth. What happened? Like somebody is ill that I need to stand in for. That's it. So
Awesome.
yeah, very
So
unfortunate. So,
end us with something the viewers can look up so they're prepared for Saturday when it comes
Yeah.
to the Moorish nobility going to war, and then Hitler pops on the scene. Whatever you were going to
yeah,
say.
yeah. I mean, this Nazi empire, this German Third Reich, is a third Moorish Reich. It is not Roman. I mean, the Romans were the Moors,
There you go.
which is a big thing to say, but I believe I can prove it in countless ways.
The Etruscans,
Yeah.
the original Trojans.
The Etruscans were originally, yeah. This is a Moorish empire. It was one big world, and English is just Hebrew in reverse. We are speaking their language in reverse. That's why we always use negative contractions. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I could go on for a long time.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
My daughter is like off on the side listening to this. She's homeschooled. She's 13. She doesn't
Yeah.
like listening to history class,
Yeah.
but she'll listen to you guys.
That's awesome. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
because
it's
I think
interesting.
I think it's a frequency too.
Yeah,
Even if you don't understand everything. So
yeah, for sure. So
cool.
much,
So,
much appreciative. I appreciate all of your
Okay, thank you.
wisdom too.
I'm sorry I have to go. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
you
Thank
annoying.
take
you.
care.
Thank
Take
you. Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Much love.
Thank you. Much
Always.
love.
So go ahead, Lana. You were talking about history class. So this is a picture right here, y'all. Black conquistadors. We want Lana's daughter, her project, if she's listening, to study Juan Garrido and the Black Conquistadors. And so we have here El Conquistador Negro en Las, Florida, Mexico, and California. And then it says Española History Channel, Juan Garrido El Moreno Conquistador. Garrido spent 6 years in Español in 1508. He joined Juan Porte del on his mission to search for gold in Puerto Rico. By the 1500s, he was in America. So once again, this proves that not only were dark-skinned Moors not slaves, and those were not African slaves who came with the Spaniards, those were either Moors who were captured, Moors who sold out, or Moors who were conquistadors and didn't look at just because the color of your skin, he was coming to conquer and create a new empire above the Moors and Moors, dark-skinned people who were here. So go
Can I
ahead.
say something?
Yeah.
I'm still learning. So when you speak on this, I'm just a student for sure. But the cool thing is, before I even met you, we lived in Arizona for a hot second. And that's all I saw was the conquistadors. I saw a conquistador hotel. I mean, there's street names after the conquistadors. There's a hotel that says conquistador. So, and then of course, when you go to Arizona, it's just full of, I think it's hieroglyphics, like on yeah, when you're driving down the freeway, it's full of it. It's like so much history there. So it's interesting to learn about the conquistador, and you got to go to Arizona, especially Tucson, because it's everywhere out there. The conquistador, the name conquistador, like is out there everywhere. So it's definitely giving us history just by going to Arizona itself, Tucson specifically.
Can you read what it says on the screen right there, Lana,
The
for the
Palo
guest?
Verde Valley.
Yeah.
The Palo Verde Valley is located in the lowest Colorado River Valley, next to the eastern border of Southern California with Arizona, United States. It is located on the Colorado Desert within the Sonoran Desert, south of the Parker Valley. Most of the valley is in Riverside County, with the southern remainder in Imperial County, La Paz County, borders to the east on the Colorado River.
And then what does that say? Aerial view looking what?
Oh, I can't really see that. Aerial view looking north along the Palo Verde Valley and into the Parker Valley, where the Colorado River defines the border between, it's getting kind of small. It's kind of smushed in. River defines the borderline between California left and Arizona right. A portion of the city of Blythe, California, and Ernberg, Arizona, and Interstate Highway 10 are visible at the bottom. So what does that mean? It means it's connected?
And then it says the region is ancestral home of several Native American tribes. And whenever you find the Native Americans, we predated them as Moors and Moors, meaning dark-skinned woolly hair people, dark-skinned wavy hair people, eventually dark-skinned straight hair people. And we as Moors, today classified as Moors, gave some of our culture to these newcomers who you call Native Americans today. And so when you look at when you know your Moorish culture, in your Khemetian culture, you're able to identify words through etymology, like Colorado, Ra, and you see Ra, and then you see the river, and then look to the left. That's California to the left, y'all. Arizona to the right. So right there, you see that California in Ra zone, that's the same land inside of Riverside. So that's why they call it the Nile Riverside, because we set up civilizations on major water sources. And so it would make sense that a global international empire, all you need is education, all you need is knowledge and the waters. So once the waters can go through land masses, you can just set up shop anywhere on the planet. As long as you have seeds of grain and your technology, you can go anywhere. And that's what they taught us in school, that the Moors were masters of the 7 seas. So there's no way in the world that a group of people who mastered the 7 seas were not already in the Americas. And so that's why they're speaking of the Grand Canyon, in particularly those born in Southern California and Arizona. We have a connection. Most likely you were already here in your past life and you're returning home. Because when you understand that you've already been here and that you're an immortal being and that you did not come here as a slave from Africa, and now that you can identify yourself not only as an Olmec, and Olmec means old Mecca, old Mecca or old Mexico. And remember when we say Mexico or Mechi, Mexica, Mechi, Chi is XI, because the European cannot pronounce Mexica. He can't say it. So he says Mexico, Mexico. And the XI is still in there. And the XI are the old Mexicans, old Mecca. And I'm going to show you where old Mecca is, y'all. Right here, baby. As we talk, old Mecca is here, next to Mineral City. So let's just break it down. I sometimes go too fast. So like Lana just spoke. So now we know that Ehrenberg is located on the Colorado River, which forms the border with Riverside County, California, near Blythe in Arizona. So Riverside County and Arizona were the same land before they created those maps. Because remember, they had to divide the land to confuse us. Mm-hmm. So Ehrenberg or Ehrenberg, remember, change the vowels, change A-E-I-O-U's and Y's and J's. So right here, basically it was a mineral town. They were finding various minerals in these places, and there was a steamboat right here in Riverside County. So you're talking about ships that were coming in from the Pacific Ocean all the way from what you call Los Angeles. But remember, Los Angeles was flooded at that time. That was underwater. Also, they say that California was an island because they dammed a lot of the rivers. They changed the direction of the Santa Ana River and the Colorado River to flood certain towns to bury the truth. So let's go to Mineral City. Can you read some of that, Lana?
Sir. Okay. In 1986, is that what you want to read, or just Mineral City? Mineral City. Mm-hmm. Mineral City, Arizona. Mineral City was a steamboat landing and ferry crossing on the Colorado River in La Paz County, Arizona. United States from 1863 to 56 or 66? 1866. Okay, so 3 years. It was located on the east bank of the Colorado River, 1 mile below its rival, Olive City, and half-mile below the original site of Ehrenberg and 1.5 miles above its current site. In the fall of 1863, Mineral City developed another landing for steamboats on the Colorado River, located 1 mile downstream from Olive City, which was the landing for the La Paz mines. This point was where the recently created freight wagon road, thank you, that's better, freight wagon road known as the Bradshaw Trail across the desert from San Bernardino, crossed the river at Bradshaw's Ferry. In 1866, a new landing was established between Olive City and Mineral City, and the support of two captains of the steamboat company of George A. Johnson and Company. Mineral City became the name of this larger settlement, resulting in the abandonment of Olive City, and by 1870, La Paz also.
So right there, you guys, remember Johnson is a Moorish name. That's all our names, told in reverse. And then olive branch, deals with the Moors, right? The olive branch. So you have to know about occult science, occult words, esoteric words, and then George A. Johnson and Company, Mineral City. They said that they also said the Bradshaw Trail, where they had the gold trails. So now you know that Riverside County and San Bernardino County is dealing with minerals, and it's dealing with gold, and it's dealing with rivers, water,
information.
Water. There you go. And so I want everyone to look up the Bradshaw Trail. That's going to lead you to the second gold rush. It's going to lead you to the Chocolate Mountains. It's going to lead you to gold and minerals in more Moorish named cities. And it's going to lead you to either the Grand Canyon, or it's going to lead you to Jason. It's going to lead you to Riverside. It's going to lead you to everything that I'm talking about, because in order to lead the people, it's not about it's not about me. It's about connecting the dots to prove to people what I'm saying. It's proving to you guys that I am clairvoyant, that I am channeling, that someone is giving me information and I'm born with it. But not just me babbling. I'm giving you evidence that you guys have not heard, but it's here. Linking us as Moors and Moors to California, Southern California, Riverside, the Inland Empire, which you have been here before, which to me is where we're supposed to come to ascend, either for the spacecrafts to pick us up or to build TA-Meri. TA-Meri or TA-Meri. Right here in the Inland Empire, which is Riverside County and San Bernardino County, which makes up the biggest landmass of counties in the United States. San Bernardino is the biggest county in the United States, and I believe Riverside is 10th or 13th or 17th. So when you combine Riverside County and San Bernardino, it's an empire. And then you connect it to the Grand Canyon. And then when the waters start flowing again, that's our land. And that's when we claim our independence, our sovereignty, and have our own land where we teach our youth, our children, our future, our adults, our Moorish way of life, our so-called Indian way of life, our so-called African way of thinking, a curriculum based on our culture, to where we can practice our culture and then perform it. So practicing is what the doctors do in Kaiser. They don't say they're performing. They say, I have a practice. But Thunder Rock, TA-Meri or Tamara, we're going to perform. And that's what they do in Las Vegas. That's what they do in other cities to attract wealth. They perform. So when you come to TA-Meri or Tamara, my land, our land that I'm building and creating, we're going to have acrobats. We're going to have our own Circus Soleil. We're going to have our own buildings, which today we call temples, that are going to look just like Moorish buildings, like ancient Egyptian Khemetian buildings, Atlantis. We're going to have land. Imagine Disney World or Disneyland, but with our theme, but with Universal Studio motion picture rides, boat river rides. I don't want to give you too much of my information, but this is how we build our wealth. And then we have movies, TV shows, merchandise. We'll have restaurants. So people from all over the world are going to come for our fresh food, our fresh cooking, Lana's juices. They're going to come to our land to learn, just like people travel to Timbuktu, Tiwakatan, Khemet. You travel the world to learn and gain knowledge and gain up your wealth by not only knowledge, but obtaining gifts. So when you go to certain lands, you know how you pick up gifts from certain lands? It's like that. So let's say my land has certain seeds that a land needs to grow crops. Well, if we're not using money, what do you bring to the table that our land is going to need? And that's how we build our wealth again, is that we create a purpose. Once we have the minerals in control, why do you think they call it mineral wealth? And that's what Riverside County is based on. So go ahead, Lana. You wanted to talk about Lake Elsinore more while I go search for some of those articles. Oh, and so basically it leads us to Mecca. It leads us to what I was saying earlier, y'all. Old Mexico. In Old Mexico is Old Mecca, Mechita or Mechi. So Old Mecca, and who are the old Mexicans? They call them the Olmecs. Right here, y'all. I'm gonna show you proof. It's such a beautiful thing. We're making knowledge cool again. Right here. When the Mexicans realized morenos or negros were in Mexico first. Let me move that. Right there, y'all. You were here already. You are the original Amarucans. You are the original plum serpent. You know, your skin looks like the color plum. You know, you are those people. And so when you can identify state to state, and particularly Southern California, as your ancient home, now you can activate your DNA again. Now you just don't have to say, man, I have to save up all this money to go to Africa to find peace. You can say, man, not only am I going to build a nation, an empire, and resurrect my empire that was already built here, I'm now going to build it up, our wealth here in America, so I can trade with my African brothers and sisters. And that's where the wealth comes in, where we are so self-sufficient that our brothers in Africa, they're controlling their diamond mines, their gold mines, they're controlling the land. And now we're doing trade. And guess what's going to happen, y'all? Other nations are going to want to trade with us. Other nations are going to want to build with us. And that's how we become the wealthiest, most respected people on the planet, because we are the innovators. We are
our reparations.
What'd you say?
That our reparations, you know, when everyone says our reparations, is this part of the reparations? Learning where we learning the land?
Well, that truly is. You know, I try not to get into that word because our people are still stuck on the color black.
Yeah.
You know, you can only be, they're not going to give us what we're not deserving of. And that's why, for me, time is up, Lana, because we've had enough time and enough information to make that decision when you're of a certain age to decide what you're going to do with your way of thinking and knowledge, like the journey you're on. Like I tell a lot of my brothers, have you been to Africa yet? Have you been to Khemet yet? After all these years, or at least have you been to Mexico to look at these statues? If you haven't done that, you know,
or at
how
least
can
working towards it.
yeah, working towards it, because the only way that you're going to receive the land back, that's why only some of us are going to be the rulers of the land, is because we put in the real work. And this is evidence of what I'm doing with these recordings. So look at my hairline. I used to tell Lana not too long ago, I was like, man, the hairline has to do with something. And what popped up? The
That's
ancient American hairline. And doesn't it look like what I complain about?
yeah, it actually looks just like that. That's so
You know,
funny. Wow.
it,
That's crazy.
so you cannot deny stones, the stone
No.
masonry. And when you learn about building with stone, look how beautiful that sculpture looks, y'all. Look at the lips. Look at the mohawk. That's where you get the term mohawk from. Mr. T, you guys remember Mr. T in the 80s with the mohawk
Yeah.
and the gold? That's because he is an Indian. And we used to wear gold around our neck with mohawks, different hairstyle that you see today as Mers and Aboriginal or Moorish people who are the indigenous people of this land. So what Lana was asking me about reparations is, if a group of people still think they're black, how are you going to get your gifts back? You'll mess up the land. You have to have a mentality. It's like, I can't put you captain of the track team if your peers don't look up to you. I can't put you as captain of the track team if you're not leading the team. So I can't give you the land if I give you $1 million and you guys are going to spend it on, like Dave Chappelle had the skit, spending it on foolish things, like you see a lot of the NBA players and NFL players and actors and actresses, when they're not under the wing of Hollywood and their slave master, they go broke. They go crazy.
Like Charles was saying, the Moors weren't in competition. We were building to get up out of here versus building to compete against one another. And I was just thinking that today while I was talking to Self. And I was like, yeah, we need to come together so that we can build to get out of here and not see who can get the biggest house, the biggest truck, and still be broke. You know what I mean? So knowing how to invest, and like you said, finding out the treasures. This is the treasures, is unraveling the nonsense, the lies, and putting it together by using Google and showing everyone, look, I'm not just saying this. I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm actually showing you through proof. You can Google it yourself and see that we were here first. We had our own civilizations.
And there you go. Once we understand that we had our own civilization on this land, now you can move forward. It's not necessarily just staying stuck like black people do. Most black people and African Americans do. They always blame slavery. They blame their condition for something that happened so in the past that they have not progressed at all, because they've been given a false narrative that they can live in. They can live in that suffering and in that complaining, while immigrants can come to this country and utilize their ignorance, their land, to create their American dream. And what is a dream? A dream is an illusion. Charles was asking me about my trip in San Diego, and I was telling him how I was in the spa with a regular pale skin European, modern day so-called white American. And then when I told this other gentleman who I thought was just a tanned Italian, which he was, he said, "Oh, you're a Moor. I'm Jewish." And he looked at the so-called white kid. He said, "You don't know shit. You're bragging about money to this guy." He said, "What do you do?" He's like, "Where'd you go to school?" I'm like, "Oh, I ran track for Cal State San Marcos, Colorado." So he said, "Oh, he ran track in college." He was like, "You've been to Europe?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where?" I said, "I ran in Amsterdam." He said, "Oh." And I said, "Red light district." He fell out. He said, "You've been to Holland?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "So you saw the buildings?" I said, "Yeah, with Team USA." And then he was like, "Where else?" And I told him I went to Egypt, Africa. He was like, "Oh." And he was asking the normal American kid who's really a European, who we classify as white, which they're not. He told his another so-called white person, but they're not. He said, "I'm Jewish." And he kept saying it to him. He said, "Yeah, you don't know anything." And he started teasing him. And I said, there it goes. I said, I hadn't experienced that yet, to where so-called people who I think are white, basically growing up, I always wanted to know why white people hated Jews. But in my head, I would be like, you both are white. Why do you hate each other? Probably like other races look at us and say, why do black people not get along? Why do they hate each other so much? So I was basically looking at the Jew, was laughing at him because the Jews are able to control the modern day European, because the modern day European who lies and says he's an American is ignorant. So he lives in racism too. The modern day so-called white person is racist. So being racist gives them wealth, but at the end of the day, they live in ignorance too, just like so-called black people. So they think they're advancing in a fictitious world with money. Money isn't real. Money isn't knowledge. You cannot. So what they've done is they made you believe that you die, but you're an immortal being. Consciousness never dies. So if they can make you believe that you die, you get trapped here and you cannot pass or graduate from this realm. Only those of us who studied ourselves, which is your culture, putting in the real work, get to graduate, just like in school, just like in class.
And you get tests too.
Huh?
You get tests and quizzes throughout your journey too.
Quizzes, which are probably how we react to certain situations, things that I have to improve on as well. So when we talk about reparations, it's restorations. But how are you going to restore yourself when, let's say I don't listen to Lana and I don't even think about trying to eat better, because I know I have to eat better. I have to continue to work out. Well, you get punished for that. It's not going to punish her. It might technically punish a relationship if you're not stepping up to the game. But what I mean, it's an example, as the coaches would say in track to the other people. You can slack off at practice if you want to. But when you get at the track meet and you get in those blocks, nobody cares that you goofed off in practice when you lose the race. All people care about is if you won. That's it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what you have to do is you have to put in the hardest work in practice when no one else is looking. Maybe your teammates are there. And then you have to be the captain and be better than everybody, which means, like I did, I would wake up, like you were talking about, 5 a.m. in the morning before class and go running. I'm in the weight room. Then I'm going to college class, last off the track, first in the weight room, last in the weight room. Then I'm running the study session. So Jason's captain of the track team, and I have the kids, us in the library. That's how you win in life. And so you cannot be a leader or a chief or given land if you don't know what 2 + 2 is. So black people as a collective are not going to receive reparations in that sense because they haven't graduated to the fact that they're not a color. And so as long as a person identifies that they're a color or that they're African American, which was started by Jesse Jackson, that means you're ignorant. That's why they call black people niggers, because all you have to do is open a book, read yourself. But people would rather watch TV. People would rather read books that are irrelevant. So basically, they're stupid, they're ignorant, and they don't graduate. And that's what the world is based on. The world is based off of our ignorance. Everyone else is thriving. You notice how everyone's thriving. They're complaining, but they got everything. The world is complaining. They're that unhappy. And they wonder why. It's because their fathers and their mothers are asleep. Just like most of our mothers of today in the Black Moorish household. Most Moorish women think that they're black. Most Moorish women worship Jesus. So if a Moorish woman worship Jesus, a white man, she's going to teach her son to worship a white man. And deep down inside, a Moorish man knows that a white man is not equal to him or above him, let alone his God. So what happens is that a so-called black mother teaches her son to hate himself by teaching him to worship a white man. Now, the white man will give your money to your mom. The white man or the pale-skinned European, he'll give your mom or the black woman a job. And she'll key. You ever see black women around white folks? How they just all of a sudden get happy, but they don't treat their black husband or their sons like that. You guys watching this ever notice how older black women or most black women are when a white person gets around? Notice how they all of a sudden are happy. They're nice, but to you, they're mean to you. And so what happens is that black man, even girls, I'm speaking for men, you go outside and you find someone who looks like you and you take your frustrations out on your brother. And so that's why black men kill each other. That's why black men fight each other. And so what happens now, you have a destruction of the Moorish family because no one's getting along. And you cannot run a family business if the mother's not getting along with her brother and the brother's mad at the sister, all because the mother doesn't know who she is. So until the black woman understands that she's a Moor, a Mer, or an Indian, and predates Jesus, predates God, predates the Bible, when she understands that she's the creator of math, of science, of literature, black people will be black, which is trapped, slaves. But those of us who've put in the work, when it's time for the ultimate race, which is coming up, we're about to be able to finally perform, we win. And that's only right. Those who train get to go. I say the mothership, but I say also the land. And so to me, that's why they're talking about dragons being released recently. That's what they're talking about, all these beings. These are beings that are here to help us, that are going to guard the land. So when they talk about dragons and all these things, these are beings that are going to protect the land from invaders coming to destroy paradise, because America was paradise. And it's not was, it is. Everyone from around the world wants to be an American. Why? It's because this is the land. This is paradise. This is where the Europeans came for what? Cities of gold, the fountain of youth. And what did they say the fountain of youth is on the West Coast? Where is the healing waters? Where do all the celebrities from around the world move to? Riverside County.
Marietta Hot Springs.
Marietta Hot Springs.
Lake
Elsinore, Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, and
Desert Hot Springs.
Right. Riverside, the Nile Riverside, the Santa Ana.
Bradshaw Trail is in La Quinta. That's by Palm Desert, Cathedral City up there.
Oh, Cathedral City. I need to study Cathedral City. I'm going to write that name down. Yeah. I'm going to look at the buildings out there, and I guarantee you when I do a presentation on my studies, I'm going to be able to show you Moorish architecture way back in the where? Desert.
Let's just take
and pale-skinned people can't live in the desert like that originally. You don't come from that. You are not soul people. And the word soul is the word sun. That's why they call us soul people. Because we are sun people. That's why they say only a few of us are born with a soul. And the only way to gain a soul is through the son of who? Mary. And who is Mary or Maya? It's our mothers. It's our Moorish sisters. It's the womb man. The Wu Tang. It's the woo, our mothers, the woman. And so just like in ancient Khemet, when we unify, like me and Lana build, it's a union it's infinite. She gives me knowledge, I give her knowledge, and we empower each other, you know? And so that's what they fear. They fear her story being told. And guess what? They make you fear the Sekhmet so-called Moorish woman, or the Khemetian woman, the black bitch, the dog star. But what happens when we get Alana, or instead of a Sekhmet, we get a loving Moorish woman who says, I need my God, I need my man, I need my king. And then you have the brothers say, I need my goddess, I need my priestess, I need my empress. That's when we start building new realities and open up new worlds of thought. And we use the past as a blueprint to propel ourselves into the future, just like the movie Back to the Future. So they have to destroy the past by destroying and hiding the monuments, the paintings, the literature, because naturally, like Lana always reminds me, she says, baby, doesn't say baby, but my God, my essence. But basically she says, Jason, I'm born knowing a lot of this. I'm born knowing what Dr. York and a lot of these brothers say on Wu Sabat. And I have to remind her, you're absolutely correct. You do know everything, but together, come on. And so I'm rambling. So basically, long story short, we get our reparations and restitution by graduating, we gaining knowledge. And so it's only going to be a few of us. So what do you feel about that, Lana, when it comes to the knowledge of Lake Elsinore you were talking about earlier?
Keep talking. I got a juice sale, so go ahead. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Keep talking. I'm here though. I have a question I wanted to ask you about that that Muslim cemetery. So,
okay.
But I want to hear your answer. But keep going. I'll be right back.
All right. So basically, long story short, as we start closing it out, we're going to get in more depth in the next episode. But this is Riverside in the 1800s. Right here. So once again, you see horses and dune buggies. Let me close it up. Look at that. Look at all those buildings in Southern California in the 1800s, dirt roads. But if you come to Riverside today, the buildings look nothing like that, y'all, because those are Moorish buildings. Those were built by us before the mud flood. So what they did is when they flooded our cities in Southern California, and they said it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, coincidentally, it flooded. There's even a video going around that I'm going to put up next time that shows these towns that were flooded. So when we get to what I was saying, like Lake Elsinore, look at the picture of this lady. You remember earlier when I was telling you guys that Moorish woman, if you had, basically she looks like my auntie Shuggy. Basically a sister who could pass for being white or Caucasian or European. So now that I understand that this is Auntie Shuggy, that's her Slavic slave behind her. So if you look to the left, you see a European or a mixed Moorish woman with a broken down San Francisco with a Moorish wrap around her head overlooking San Francisco in the 1915s. Once again, proving that us as Moors were already here. So in order to hide it, we gave these so-called troglodytes, European men, a certain amount of information to hold it for us, for when we wake up, we would get this land back. That's the goal. We'll see if they do it. And so what Lana was basically saying and asking me about reparations, we're going to find out that if these so-called the brothers like the Shriners, the pale-skinned Europeans who run certain organizations and secret societies, when some of us understand that we are the true heirs to the land, well, they say, here it is. And that's where we're at.
They're going to have
Some
to give
people
it
say
back.
that's not going to happen, Jason, but we're going to find out, because a lot of us haven't attempted it yet. You know, how many of us are actually trying to get the land with it based on knowledge, not greed? You feel me?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, so this kind soul on Facebook named Candace Lace posted. Can you still see my face? Are you there?
Yeah. We see you.
Oh, okay. Anywho, so she posted something here on Facebook. I just lost it. But anyway, it was about a Moorish cemetery. No, Muslim cemetery. They're supposed to be.
Can you share your screen?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried doing that with the live. I prefer to wait on that, but it's something we can Google. You can always look it up.
Okay.
But I'm trying to find the post. I had it and it just disappeared right now. So give me 2 seconds. Here it is. Okay, so apparently in Canyon Lake, there's supposed to be some petition that they're doing because they're talking about a cemetery. They're planning on building a Muslim cemetery above Canyon Lake. And they're really concerned about the water now. I guess it's going to affect their drinking water. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I can think of is when it talked about in the Bible in the last days on how like the ancestors are going to start to rise. Like John 5:28-29, do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming when all who are in tombs will hear his voice and come out. And other scriptures or whatever that refer to the last days and how the bodies are going to rise. So I want to get your insight on that because it just sounded interesting and you're very knowledgeable. So thoughts, opinions?
I'm trying to find that video on YouTube that I posted where it shows the Santa Ana flood.
Okay.
The flood of it. So go ahead, keep talking.
What do you mean? So apparently there were multiple floods because obviously as a Christian growing up, we were taught that it had to do with Noah's Ark and this flooding, which made no sense as a kid. So now fast forward, here we are. We're getting into the real my story and what happened, and it looks like there were floods. And what's this say? 1657, Black Flood, Mud Flood, Hidden History.
Yes.
800 plus old abandoned ships. 1849, San Francisco Bay burned. All the ships in the Great Fire, 1851. Interesting. Hidden history.
So everyone looking this, while I'm about to post this, you guys start looking up 1849, San Francisco Bay burned. All the ships in the Great Fire, 1851. And then start looking up how all throughout America, a lot of these Moorish buildings and Tartarian and ancient buildings were burnt down or flooded. So I'm going to show you in a quick second a video of this flood that occurred in Riverside, which we're going to correlate to our city in the Inland Empire actually being one of those cities that was flooded out. And that when you look at the downtown Riverside, the downtown San Bernardino, Redlands, and all of Southern California, San Diego, you're going to find Moorish buildings. And the ones that you find in Riverside County that are further from Los Angeles, it's the same thing. Those cities were flooded out and they were just refurbished by pale-skinned Europeans who went to these expositions and either bought maps and bought technology and knew where to go to basically find a city. And when they had the technology to refurbish the buildings, they said that they erected the building or discovered the building, or would lie and say, oh, we used a Moorish architecture. You guys are pale-skinned Europeans. The Moors enslaved you. Why would you copy them and build buildings based off of their knowledge and information, unless those people were indeed Moors, or they were mixed Moors who taught their pale-skinned Europeans how to rule and use our knowledge to build these things. But like Charles was saying, you had to come from the noble class to even be able to build those structures. So let me get in. You know, you can't be just an idiot can't build a house. You have to have leveling. You have to know, well, I shouldn't say idiot, meaning you cannot be an idiot when it comes to building a house with knowledge. You have to have knowledge to build a house. You can be an idiot, meaning a complete, idiot, but you have to know angles. You have to have knowledge of that, meaning a slave cannot build a house and have it stand. A person has to have knowledge.
No, you said it correctly. I know what you mean. Anyone can build something, but it's the way it's built. Is it going to be on solid ground, or is it going to be on shaky ground? So yes, it does require mathematics, and you can't be ignorant to do that. So
thanks, love.
You're welcome.
All right. I'm going to, where is it? Window. Here it is. Okay. Let's see.
Built on solid ground.
Can you hear it?
In the winter of 1862, California faced non-stop storms for nearly 45 days. The Santa Ana River swelled until it broke free, turning San Bernardino Valley into a temporary sea. Have you heard of the flood that changed California? One of the hardest hit places was Agua Mansa, a thriving Mexican town on the riverbanks near today's Colton and Riverside. Its name meant gentle water. But the water was anything but gentle. Vineyards, orchards, and adobe homes washed away. By the time the river receded, Agua Mansa had vanished. Across the Inland Empire, the story repeated. Adobe homes collapsed, herds were lost, and fields disappeared. Areas that are now Colton, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Jurupa Valley sat underwater. Mexican ranchos that had already struggled under U.S. courts and the Land Act of 1851 were wiped out. Families who had survived war and dispossession now had nothing left. Then came the outsiders. Anglo settlers bought up the ruined lands for pennies. From the wreckage, they planted citrus groves, creating the empire that would redefine Riverside and Redlands. The flood didn't just erase Mexican California, it paved the way for someone else's California. Today, almost nothing remains of Agua Mansa except its cemetery on Agua Mansa Road, and locals whisper it may be haunted, a lady in white, a man in the shadows. Maybe the town never left. Would you walk through Agua Mansa's cemetery at night? Why isn't this story taught in Inland Empire schools? And does California owe a debt to the families the flood erased? The Inland Empire wasn't...
Oh no, I'll just stop.
Taught in Inland Empire schools? And does California owe a debt to the families the flood erased? The Inland Empire wasn't...
Should I play it again, or did you guys get the point? I can't hear you.
Can you play it again, please, Dr. Williams? Yes. Thank you.
Built on solid ground. In the winter of 1862, California faced non-stop storms for nearly 45 days. The Santa built on solid ground. In the winter of 1862, California faced non-stop storms for nearly 45 days. The Santa Ana River swelled until it broke free, turning San Bernardino Valley into a temporary sea. Have you heard of the flood that changed California? One of the hardest hit places was Agua Mansa, a thriving Mexican town on the riverbanks near today's Colton and Riverside. Its name meant gentle water. But the water was anything but gentle. Vineyards, orchards, and adobe homes washed away. By the time the river receded, Agua Mansa had vanished. Across the Inland Empire, the story repeated. Adobe homes collapsed, herds were lost, and fields disappeared. Areas that are now Colton, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Jurupa Valley sat underwater. Mexican ranchos that had already struggled under U.S. courts and the Land Act of 1851 were wiped out. Families who had survived war and dispossession now had nothing left. Then came the outsiders. Anglo settlers bought up the ruined lands for pennies. From the wreckage, they planted citrus groves, creating the empire that would redefine Riverside and Redlands. The flood didn't just erase Mexican California, it paved the way for someone else's California. Today, almost nothing remains of Agua Mansa except its cemetery on Agua Mansa Road, and locals whisper it may be haunted, a lady in white, a man in the shadows. Maybe the town never left. Would you walk through Agua Mansa's cemetery at night? Why isn't this story taught in Inland Empire schools? And does California owe a debt to the families the flood erased? The Inland Empire wasn't...
And so when they said Old Mexico, so now we get into the American, we get into the Indian Wars, then we get into the Spanish-Mexican War, or the U.S. versus Spain War, or the Spain versus Mexico War. It's coming off the top. So basically, when we talk about Europe going to war with Mexico, Spain, we talk about Moors, right? Moors who look like me, mixed Moors, and pale-skinned European Slavic slaves, conquistadors as well. Okay? Searching for old Mecca, the fountain of youth, the knowledge, the cities of gold, because America, where is it? America is the old world. So old Mecca, right? Old Mecca is old Mecca. And who are the old Meccas? The Olmecs, right? And what do we find in Mission Inn outside of the Mission Inn Castle? We find old Mexican faces. And the old Mexicans, Olmecs, look like I. And here's the proof.
Yes, I've seen it with you.
In Riverside, right here. Boom. So right there, I'm going to take you to Old Mecca and Morocco and TA-Meri. So that would mean you're dealing with this land, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, which is Southern California. It is, but let's say it was an empire of thought, of Tahuti. And the reason I say that is you have the Moorish school of thought here, right? We find, and then you find ancient Khemet, Egypt words, Egypt statues. I'm going to show proof right here with this video.
On 2 different videos, I've showed you mounds of rubble surrounding Hemet, California. And I got a lot of the geology theory. Okay, well, now it's not mounds of rubble, it's pyramids. So I want to see your geology theory about pyramids in Hemet, California. So let's take another ride in Hemet. Let's go. All right, I'm just off a State Street in Hemet. And right there ahead of me is a pyramid. 3 distinct ridges going down the sides. Might be covered up by a couple feet of rubble, but definitely a pyramid. Okay, I'm just off a Hemet golf course here, off of Devonshire and California Road, and directly ahead of me is a pyramid. This is one of the most obvious ones in Hemet. And each one of these that I'm going to show you, I'm also going to include a picture with the lines running down the sides showing the ridges and showing it's a 3-sided pyramid. Now again, just off a State Street, the one at the top there. Now I'm saying the one at the top, but it looks like there might be several ones. but definitely has 3 sides and definitely has ridges, which I'm going to mark them on a picture. This is a little closer view of the one we just took. The one at the top is the one I was pointing out on the last take. Now here there's one on the left and a little lower, and I can see the three ridges clearly that make up the pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid there's a house that looks like a 2 or 3 story house, so you can see how big these things really are. Now there's mounds everywhere in Hemet, and I call them mounds of rubble, but there's also a such thing of mound pyramids, and if you believe in them, then Hemet is just littered with them. There's a couple pictures I took out near Winchester, or in Winchester. I'm going to blow those pictures up and outline them as well. I don't think I did any narration on them. But here's the pyramids, and you know what to do with your geology theory now. These were not made up of sediments and shifting stones or lava remains. I'm Truman from The Truman Show, the real life Truman. Thanks for watching. On two.
So right there, you saw a pale-skinned European who also said that he sees pyramids. And who builds pyramids? Whose culture are mound pyramids? That is us. So right here, you have a picture in Southern California, in Riverside County, in Hemet, the city called Hemet, which we call Khemet. Look at this. They call it the Hemet Maze Stone. Some say it's Lemurian, some say it's Lantian, some say it's Khemetian. Either way, right there, you see the maze, the labyrinth, a way home for those of us who are learning to decipher it. And Andikra codes, extraterrestrial geometry, science, astrology, these are ways home, landing sites to get picked up. So for those who might say, oh, Jason's crazy with his mothership. Dude, that's cool. I get it. Well, let's just say this is the land. Either way, as long as I'm in paradise with our clean water, able to grow our own cities and build our cities and bring in wealth and then travel, that's everything. And we could do that here. And that's what it's all about. That's what Thunder Rock is. The land is called Thunder Rock. You see me talking about the vision. How many brothers in the world do you see decoding this? So I'm saying that Riverside County is the home and the land of the ancient pharaohs, the ancient sultans, the empire. I am the emperor, the chief. And there's other chiefs. There'll be others. But you know what time it is. The God, the creator who opened up the reality is Jason. July, August, September, October, November. This is where I was raised. So right there, basically, we'll end the show with that. And also to end it, look closely, y'all. It says there's a show called Alien Nation, and there's a episode called The Inland Empire, Mysteries and Monsters. Eli Watson, right? Eli, hello. Eli Watson investigates, reports, and stories of Bigfoot along the Santa Ana River and in the mountains of San Bernardino. So basically, when I was speaking of the Moors as we end the episode, when I was showing you the Moors, this is outside of Old Mexico. So the video, when they said Old Mexico, we understand the names. We understand that we are the original in the old Mexicans, not the Mexicans you see today, who are a product, all due respect, who are a product of rape when the pale-skinned conquistadors made a class system out here. They made a class system. And so a class system is based off of color. And so basically in Latin America, which means slaves of the Roman Catholic Church, Latin is a bad term when they accept it. So when when they talk about the Latins, they came in, raped the Olmecs who were here, the so-called Moors and Africans, dark-skinned woolly hair people. 95% of our population died from smallpox. They flooded our towns, and they kept the light-skinned ones. So after the rape, they brought in the Asians. The Mongolians came across the Bering Strait, and then the Spanish had taken Chinos, which they were called Chinks, and in Southern California, there's a place called Chino Hills, and in Chino Hills, that's where the Asians stay. A disrespectful term is where the Chinks stay. So when they brought in the Chinos, the Asians from the Philippines, and that's why Filipinos have the last name Rodriguez and all these Spanish names, is because those islands were conquered by Spain and Europeans, because the original Filipinos look like us. The Cambodians, the Vietnams, the Tongans, the Samoans originally are us. So pushing forward, the new Mexicans are Asians, and then some of them are Europeans mixed with Asians, and then a small percentage are Moors, or what today they call Africans or Africanos, mixed with the Asians and European. And that's when you can distinguish a new Mexican who is dark-skinned with straight hair, or a Mexican who has dark skin with curly hair. They have Moorish blood in them. And so when you visit Riverside Mission Inn Hotel, which was a Moorish castle, if you go outside, look, this is what Kanye West is teaching you as well. But he's doing it in a reverse. Because I always say these dudes are copying me. They're copying I. They have agents all around us for the real gods, and they steal our information, they steal our music, they steal our style, and they create these fake celebrities and stars who actually steal from the underground, the real gods from their city, who actually create a culture, who is really a leader, who really can change the world. They replace them with your Kanye's, your certain rappers from LA, Wiz Khalifa's. A lot of these brothers literally copy Southern California style. Who do you think Wiz Khalifa copied? Hello? You know what I'm saying? Those who know the culture of Southern California for our age group, and the skinny brother who was rapping, who had the tree and smoking like that, come on. Same thing when it came to when Lil Wayne and all those dudes and Tyga and Nicki Minaj talking about spaceships and aliens and pharaohs. Who do you think they got that from? And mushrooms? Come on. It's all to hide the world from finding who Jason is. And so, yeah, this is when it comes to assistance. We need assistance with the paperwork, teamwork, because we're building our empire. We need assistance with the grants. We have a 501c3. You see that we already have books. You see that we already have video games. You see that we have a curriculum. So now we need help. We need assistance. So once again, right here to the right, you see the Moorish flag. You see what we call either the griffin, the bird, some would say the peacock, to the right. And so you see the Moorish crown. And then in the middle, you see the lion. You see the curly hair, the Elions, a lion. Some would say Judah, but it doesn't relate to that. You talk about Moors as well. And some say the lions are only found in Africa. That's not true. There are lions in Riverside. And I ain't lying. There are mountain lions.
There sure is. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Talk about it. So when you come to Riverside, there are lions on the land. So once again, you find similar cultures, because we were trading animals as well. We were trading jade, obsidian, fruits, seeds. We're trading seeds and grains. You know what I'm saying? So fruits, vegetables, knowledge. We're trading star maps. People be like, what does a star map do, Jason? Well, if I could teach you about a star system that and gave you certain food, and that this crop only grows during this season, during these days that this star appears, and that this crop can heal any disease, can age your people, keep your people younger. You know what I mean? That's the type of trading we were doing. That's why they keep these plants and seeds from us. This is why they don't want us to build our own guardians. Our guardians are the netters. Your guardians and your true gods are nature. Your watermelon, your fruits, your vegetables, your wife, your husband. You feel me? Once again, I'm speaking as well. I got to get my nutrients up. Like the brother earlier said, the nutrient city. So right here in Riverside, we literally have stone evidence of Moorish nobility, Olmeca, Olmec, Old Mexico, Moors, today called Black Indians, today misclassified as Black people or Africans, here in Southern California, Riverside County, the Inland Empire, the Emperor I am. So once again, to the middle, we pointed out and let me get a closer view. Look at the lips to the left. You can't make that up. And look at the look at the Olmec helmet to the top of the brother. It's undeniable evidence that you were here. And so now when we go to these structures in Hemet and all through Riverside, this is why you see certain mountains in Riverside that look leveled. They look like mounds because those are covered up pyramids, y'all. And this is why we're getting this information. This is why I'm able to deliver this, because I was raised on the land. I was raised on Indian land, Moorish land, alien land, landing site for the aliens. So that's what it's all about for me, is getting picked up, but knowing that I have to be vibrating at a certain frequency too. No special just because I have the information, and that's what you call practice. But right now I'm performing. This is what you call a performance, y'all. So when doctors say they're practicing on you, they're practicing on you, homie. I'm performing, and it's up to you as the audience to judge my performance, to feel if I should be able to get more investors. Is Jason proven to have enough knowledge and perform it, not just on YouTube, but when I go to his city? Has he put in the real work to learn about his city? Has he learned about himself? You know, and has he helped others? Has he created a culture? Does he have a business? You know, these are things that you got to do to be a champion, to be a chief, a leader, a god, a king, a superhero, a lord, a creator. I'm creating reality based off of factual evidence, which we call stone masonry, because we shine on our shrine. You feel me? And so to the left, it says, did you know that the Rothschilds are Rothschilds, the Rothschilds? So possibly, once again, we put certain Europeans in charge, pale-skinned Europeans, to weed out the dirty Moors, to find out which some of you niggas are not nagas, if you can catch my drift. Because just because you look like I doesn't mean that you have the same principles as I, the same values. You may look like us, but you're not like us. You know, and so here we go as we start closing it out. Lana, are you there? And so we start closing it out. And so you guys see it. You see us rocking. You see 50 Cent making a mockery of us, right?
Mhm.
Making it on BMF with them being gangsters, which I'm sure did happen. But why not put a positive light first? You know, I get it. You can't expect the so-called black devils to show us in our true light because these brothers are under contract. But we thank 50 Cent for at least showing a little bit, because the girl in the scene did say these are fake Moors. The real Moors are about righteousness, whoopie whooping, uplifting her brother and fellow man. So I applaud 50 because I have been around him and he does have the knowledge. But, you know, would you choose life or death, or would you choose life to be under the sword, under them? And so it is up to us to build our own facilities. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm getting the land, building our cities. We have the technology. We have the matrixuniversity.com. That's real. And so once we have our land back, we build. Just like when you go to Las Vegas, some people go to gamble. Some people come for hookers, hoes, and drugs. Some people come to do things that we were talking about, like Pizzagate, you know, things that go bump in the night, that you can catch bumps in the night. And I ain't talking about the coke. I'm talking about STDs, spiritual STDs and real ones. Like they say, you can do anything locked in Las Vegas,
That's deep.
just like the donkey shows in Tijuana. You can do that. So imagine if a troglodyte has 10 million and he's done everything, and he wants to see someone get their throat slit while they have sex with a dog or something. They can pay for that, and it can happen in Sin City because Las Vegas was an ancient Moorish Indian land. So when the Italians came to Las Vegas, those are Moors. Those are amalgamated Moors, like a Drake, but from Italy, right? Italian. So when you meet a real Italian, ask them, do they know who the Moors are? The majority of the time, well, sometimes I'm sure they might ignore it, say no, which they're lying. Or they'll be like, yes, the Moors are our culture. Am I telling the truth, Anna?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so, you know, and I do these things in front of her to show her, because other people, they would never know unless I do that in front of them. And now she's open to a reality, you know, and it's up to her to judge. I don't force my knowledge on her, but I do introduce her to a new world, you know. And so these are what you call your gatekeepers. You can either take it as a negative to say they're the ones keeping us down, or you could say the majority of our people think that they're black and that they are keeping some of this knowledge and letting it out for some of us who deserve it, are put in the real work. And so it's not that you have to join these organizations. It's just that it's up to you to put in the work. And so you know who your opponent is. That's part of the game. You know, why wouldn't you train to be the greatest? Why wouldn't you want to know who you are? Why would you want to know more about the Laker game and Donald Trump than learning about the most high gods in your realm who are the opposite of you, who control the media? They're right here. And look. You see what? A pharaoh on their cap, right? And then you see a sword. And so that's letting you know that they've taken an oath to not tell your secret, or to not your secret, your culture. And so that's when you learn about artists getting murdered and Hollywood people and politicians, is because they took an oath to get money, fame, and put in a position, but they're also introduced to a new reality that a normal citizen will never know. And so if you don't put in the work and you have to go through them to get the knowledge, they say don't bite the hand that feeds you. And so this is why throughout the world, you see them in secret practicing Islam. And what is Islam? You can either look at it as the Bin Laden or what they show you today, or you can study and see that it's an acronym. For I, self, law, am master. So I, you can look at the all-seeing eye, right? Self, knowing thyself. And so that means knowing every aspect of my arm, my leg, arm, and head. And that spells Allah.
Allah.
So right there in the acronym in Islam, using etymology, is teaching you that you are Allah. And then when you learn Allah, you learn about Allah, which is the goddess principle. And that this can also mean different meanings, whether it's the navel or different cultures. So when we talk about the sword, it can also mean the physical sword or the sword as the word. Because when you put S in front of word, what does that spell? Sword. So your word is your sword, and your word can create worlds. And so using words, it's magic. And so I have a book as we end it, as I like to share what I read as well, because I do channel, and this is inside me, and clearly I get this as a clairvoyant, but I also respect other authors. I always admit that I do read. I'm not one of those teachers or professors or masters that says, it's all me, I did it. No. So I just got done reading this book. I had it for over a year, but I just didn't get to finishing it. So let me put it up.
Nice. Word magic.
So it's by Pao Chang, Word Magic, the power and occult definition of words. Now to some, they'll look at it and be like, ooh, that's devilish. No. Words create worlds. And like I just taught, swords, world. So what they're doing, like Charles was saying, they're using reverse engineering and technology, but language is technology. Language is tech. It's a way to convey and communicate, whether it's sign language, things of that nature, to communicate, like this book that I'm reading. It's called Aliens of America.
Etymology.
Oh, and even this book. I have this book for about two or 3 years. I think 3 years almost. And this one's called Mer to More, Khemetian to Now, the etymology, phonology, semantics, and morphology of the word more by Cosmo L. And this book, they say they confuse you by calling Moors black, but never stop to tell you that the black race is a theory born in a mind of Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, a German. So it breaks down how the word mer, amen, amaro, all these things and sounds of we can relate to Khemet and the priesthood of Anu. And so even I can attest to that. When you see me in the temple of, not Hathor, the temple of Haru, when I'm in Khemet with Astro Kwesi, I did a music video inside of the pyramid. I'll play it hopefully at the end of the episode if I can. And on the Haru, the falcon or hawk, he has a tarbouche. Some say tarnouche, tarbouche, or a fez. And so right there, you see that it's a priesthood. It's an education system. And that's the beauty when you can look. So let's say, if I could read a quick passage. Produce sound tone. So it's so good. I don't know which one to start with. Let me see if I can go to the end as we end it. Okay. So when the Bible refers to Jesus, a significant percentage of time it refers to the sun that rises in the east and sets in the west. Most of the time it refers to the light principle. Jesus is also known as the Son of God. Phonetically, the word son sounds almost, if not exactly, like the word sun that you see in the sky. Without the sun, we cannot survive because we need the energy, sunlight of the sun to keep us warm and grow food. Therefore, Jesus, or the Son, our Son of God, is our Savior and the light of the world. Sometimes you may have to pay attention to the phonetics or phonics of words to find their occult meanings. When you understand that Jesus represents the sun, the light of the world, then many of the stories of the Bible will make more sense. When you go through the process of accepting the idea that Jesus is a metaphor for the sun and represents the light principle, you may feel angry at the church and Bible. However, the more you decode the Bible, the more you will realize that it has many empowering knowledge. To access the empowering knowledge of the Bible, you need to learn how to decipher its content. Here are some verses of the Bible that I will decode to help you see the hidden knowledge within them as we close it out. John chapter 9, verse 5. As long as I am in the world, I am of the light of the world. John chapter 8, verse 12. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Mark chapter 13, verse 26. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. John chapter 19, verse 5. So Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. When the Bible says Jesus is the light of the world, it refers to the sun that lights up the world when it rises in the morning. This is why the Bible talks about Jesus coming in the clouds and wearing a crown of thorns and the purple robe. The thorn symbolizing the rays of the sun, and the purple robe representing royalty. Hence, the claws, the light of the world, and the title, King of Kings. Do you need more evidence that Jesus is a metaphor for the sun? July, August, September, October, November. I am Jason Elm Street Williams, Master of the Universe, soon to be Doctor of the Universe. Lana, do you want to end it with anything?
Oh, just thank you for the opportunity again. A lot of information, super helpful. And this is really great for homeschool. Like, this is better than history. I swear, I've learned so much. So thank you to you and Charles.
Awesome.
And thank you to everybody that was listening in.
Always. But leave us with something. You always leave us about energy, food, balance, parasites. Give us something.
Oh, speaking of parasites, I don't want to get too far on a topic because I can't give 100% of my attention right now. I have to actually go. But you did send something to me about this parasite. This new, it's on the news. Or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. The human eating parasite. And we'll end it. Watch the movie. Watch the TV show. I'm gonna go watch it tonight because it's it's not. It's Tuesday. So it's called Alien Earth, y'all. Alien Earth. And in the third episode, what did they find inside that big old alien body that was killing everyone, Lana?
Parasite.
Wow. So
little itty bitty bug.
Right, a little bitty bug. And then also when our little loved one, Lana's daughter, she was talking mess to me, saying I asked her about Babs Bunny, and she said no, that's Lolo Bunny. That's a Lolo Bunny. So I said Lolo and
Lola.
Lola, and the phone was listening and put Ali Baba bunny.
Mm.
Now I didn't know there was an Ali Baba bunny.
What?
And so it took me to a Bugs Bunny episode called Ali Baba. And who is he mimicking? They're mimicking Moors. Because you have the treasures. You are the treasure. There's treasures waiting to be given to you. So when I open up my museums, I'm going to have the treasures because I earned it.
I felt that.
You feel me?
I felt that one, yes.
It's going to be, oh, he was noble. He's part of the noble family. So are you. But I discovered it on my own through the help of other books, plugging it in, things that Lana teaches. America is the true world. So Ali Baba Bunny, go study the episode. Then go study the episode where Bugs Bunny goes to war with Marvin the Martian. And what does Marvin the Martian look like? What is his skin color? Or is he just a black being? So Marvin the Martian is a black Martian. And what do I always teach on our episodes? Who are the Martians who came down to Earth? The Moors, the Martians, the Mers, the Mercians. We already built civilizations on Mars and they blew it up. So we are in these bodies right now. That's why they're trying to get back to Mars, because we were already there. And they want to colonize Mars like Elon Musk. Come on, y'all, move, Eli, because it's the knowledge of us as Mers, as intergalactic travelers, homeboys from outer space. Remember that show? So basically, Bugs Bunny tricks Marvin the Martian, and Marvin the Martian had a dog. And what does the dog in outer space relate to? Sirius Dog Star. Right? Or Anubis, the dog star, or Anpu, or the temple or priesthood of Anu, or Pluto, like Disney. Mickey Mouse's best friend was a dog. And what is dog spelled backwards?
God.
And so I'm so serious.
Yeah.
So I thank you, Lana, for going to SeaWorld with me. I had a picture I wanted to end with the Zoltar picture. And let's end it with that as we close it out. And remember, y'all, Black Conquistadors, go look at the music video. These Are the Times by Drew Hill. And it was filmed in the Moorish castle in Riverside called the Mission Inn. And that gold piece, look at that. Go study it. That's in the Mission Inn. So just more proof. That dome is in the Mission Inn. And that courtyard is in the Mission Inn. And once again, they were eating us. And look at the bottom. You see the black or the blackamoor, right? Versus those who stole our Moorish knowledge, and learn about how they ate us. Learn about in 1453, Muhammad with the M-E, not Mu, or Mohammed, took the head of Satan, or Dracula. And so when they talk about the Ottoman Empire, that if you watch Dracula movies, they talk about the Byzantine Empire, and they also talk about the Ottoman Empire. So when they talk about the Ottoman Empire going to war with Dracula, that's Moors going to war with you know who. And you already know who Dracula is. And once again, ending it, when people ask, oh, look at this one. Look at the right. It says Negroid rock mass of Chalocalzingo near Morales or Morlos, Mexico. Date 800, 700 BC, before Christ, before Jesus. So when you look to the right, look at that. So when you go through Riverside County and you look through Arizona and all these rock formations, look closely and you'll see yourself, because they blasted a lot of those rocks. But you can look closely and still see the faces. So when you're in America, go to your downtown, travel to your downtowns, go hiking to the rocks and go look for yourself. And to the middle, look at that comb that they found in Mexico. A person with straight hair wouldn't need a comb like that, but people don't wear afros anymore. So you don't have brothers picking out their hair like that anymore. So, it's right here. And then to the left, you tell them, look up the Aztec codexes, and you will find yourself right here. And look who we have getting locked up, causing mischief on our land. Right here, the warrior costumes, right here in your libraries. So it's here. And look to the right, look at our sisters. That looks normal compared to the Native Americans of today. It's because you are those people. And then to the middle, look at to the right, California Indians living rent-free before pale-skinned Europeans, before so-called white people. You were already here in paradise, y'all. America is our paradise. The pale-skinned Europeans just got here. And then to end it, your body is the temple, like Lana teaches you. The temple is your body. You are the temple of God. And us as the Khemetians knew it, so we built buildings and cities based off of our bodies, so we would stay on a higher realm. And others knew that. So when they took over our cities and put us back in these big cities, they're harnessing our energy and taking away our power instead of giving it to us, which is free energy. And so when you study Yahweh, when you study Yahweh or Yah, hey, Wah, hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, that is you when you study Hebrew. The modern Hebrew letters for Yahweh or Yahweh make up the image of man. For Yahweh is made in the image of man. God is made in the image of man. Let us make man in our image after our likeness. I am Jason. July, August, September, October, November. We're living in a matrix video game, a hologram, a simulation, a wondrous world where we're here to learn. We're here to also heal. And this is we'll get into that next episode. So I'll end this episode with our virtual reality video game in our virtual reality campus. See y'all. Peace.
Niggas kings, captain of my team. Life is just a dream, life ain't what it seems. You just a player in the game if you don't own the league. Hop on the magic carpet, fly with me to a whole new world that they call Elm Street. Stay away from haters, stay away from buses, because in Never Land ain't no room for these suckers. Stay away from haters, stay away from buses, because in Never Land ain't no room for these suckers. They say a nigga.
Welcome families all over the world on 360-degree field trips. So the goal, once again, is to get sponsors, donations, and investors so we as well can host our own trip in 360-degree videos around the world. So this is an example of our friend and host Steve Grubbs, which is actually the owner of the company that I have collaborated with the Matrix University. So once again, this is our global field trip module to where we can take students and families all around the world instead of spending thousands of dollars, airport security and passports. Once again, gamification of education. We're making education cool and fun again and giving access to education for all. So here we go.
We've made it to the Temple of Karnak. Now again, Karnak is in Luxor. Luxor is fairly far south of Cairo. So if you look at this map, you can see right up at the top is Cairo and Giza, and that's where all the big pyramids that are so famous are. But if you follow the Nile River purposes, one was it was a messaging tower to the gods to give the prayers
the obelisk
to the gods and then to receive messages from the gods.
And so this is technology, y'all.
It was also a decorative piece for
a communication device.
Obviously. We know that in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument is an obelisk, and there is a replica of this obelisk in Central Park in New York, which was a gift from Alexandria, not Egypt, to New York City. And so it went from here to Alexandria. So these obelisks have a long history in civilization and antiquities. And that's just a couple things to know about the obelisk of Karnak.
Why do you think their faces are knocked off, y'all? So
now in an area that
look at these devices. Look at these symbols.
Around us, 134 pillars.
They speak.
You can just see a few right around us here.
Imagine when they were colored, filled with rubies.
134 pillars, built by three kings: Ramses the First, Ramses the Second, and Seti the First. So, what's interesting is that this was built dedicated to the papyrus flower, which is very common here in
students and families, all
telling the story that they want people to know. And we're going to learn a lot more about these a little bit later. But just stop and take a look at what the tombs actually look like. Okay, we are at the tomb of King Tutankhamun. And you can see that there are a lot of tourists here. It's a busy area. We're outside of the city of Luxor. Now, what's interesting is that King Tut, as he's known in the West, became king at age 9. His mother was Queen Nefertiti. And these tombs took a lot of years to build, but he died at age 18. And so they rushed ahead. So people believe that he was either killed by somebody striking him, or perhaps he fell off his chariot and hit his head. So a little bit unsure, but we're going to next go inside. We can't shoot in there, but we can provide some photos. Thank you. King Tut's tomb, discovered in 1922 by archaeologist Howard Carter, is one of the most famous and remarkable archaeological finds in history. Located in the Valley of the Kings, Luxor, Egypt, the tomb contained a wealth of exquisite treasures and artifacts, including Tutankhamun's gilded sarcophagus and the iconic golden funerary mask that adorned his mummified remains. The tomb's intact state provided unprecedented insight into the opulence and religious practices of ancient Egypt, captivating the world with its...
Hello everyone, I am Professor Jason E. Williams. I will be guiding you through the Matrix University campus with our first lesson on the Moors' influence on Europe, the Olmec civilization, and hidden history. 1. Architecture and urban development. The Moors constructed impressive edifices such as the Alhambra in Granada, the Great Mosque of Cordoba, and various other palaces, mosques, and cathedrals that showcase the unique Moorish architectural style characterized by horseshoe arches, intricate tile work, and lush gardens. They had great accomplishments and knowledge. 1. Scientific and medical advancements. The Moors brought sophisticated medical knowledge to Europe, stemming from their understanding of ancient Greek, Roman, and Islamic medical traditions. They established hospitals that served more patients than their European counterparts and were among the first to use techniques such as surgery and pharmacy. Renowned physicians like Ibn...
Back in Africa once again, Jason, the Pharaoh has returned. I'm back home. I know y'all see me behind me. I told y'all, life is a dream. I woke up and I'm here.
I want to hear my song before I even get to...
1. Hello.
head. So people believe...
Back in Africa once again, Jason. I'm going to show you proof that melanated beings were advanced civilizations of sea mariners. Our armies were on the sea. We had marines, navies, long before the military of the United States. Right here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But he's a black man.
Yeah, he's a black brother.
Now you see this? This is proof. This worked. Big brothers. These weren't no weak brothers off the block drinking 40s. These were strong brothers eating from the fruits of the motherland. Check it out.
Into the netherworld. It was protected by the Horus king himself from the serpent in the underworld to make sure that the pharaoh made it to his travels in the next land.
Advanced civilizations. Who said we didn't flow on the sea?
I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops tripping, and like you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa. The American dream, a lot harder than it seems. Brothers banging the blocks, sisters punching the clocks. Children's raising themselves, so they raising up hell. Who is created equal? God. I do it for my people. Tell me, who is God? Cause in my mind, it's all of y'all. I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops is tripping, and like you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa. Travel the planet. Understand where we landed. Backpack the motherland. Then I came back with the master plan. While these scared motherfuckers run the church, we run from the cops who shoot us under the dirt. Suffering is suffering, pain is pain. Tears are fears on a rainy day. A white man suffering, a black man pain. Sometimes I question, is it all the same? I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops is tripping, and like you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa. Been here before. God of the Matrix. Listen to my flow. Yeah, I touched the cheetah's paw. Kissed the rhino, y'all. Went to an AIDS clinic. This was authentic. No pretending I am a relic. Saw a little cage on a block, orphan at the age of 5. Pops and mama done died of AIDS. AIDS in the mind, it's all the game. I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops is tripping, and like you need to move out. The belief is too much. much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom, I went to Africa. I can speak it to the ears. For anybody hear my music, is anybody out there? Mom and pops is tripping, and like you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom, I went to Africa.
Welcome to the world-famous King Tut Museum. Be sure to respect the ancient relics. The ancient Egyptians were a magical people who built numerous beautiful, magnificent structures, like the world-famous pyramids and temples. No running inside. Scientists till this very day still do not know how the Egyptians built the pyramids.
I wonder, did aliens ever visit ancient Egypt?
Wow! Look at that giant Egyptian statue! It looks just like you, Jason!
Thanks, Toby. You're a super cool friend. Imagine what the world would look like if I was the pharaoh.
Jason, you are daydreaming. Wake up.
Sorry. History got away from me.